Welcome to another episode of Primetime Muscle. Athletes and fans around the world, this is it. Tim Wilkins, the one and only real deal.
I like when you come to me first.
Chris Cormier in the house, and you are not second.
Beer gang.
Tarek Gilgindi.
It's great to be here, Tim.
Why are we not feeling the sincerity?
I enjoy your company. You can call him first every single time so we can boost his low self-esteem.
My low testosterone.
By the way, if Cialis Viagra, if you guys want a prospect that really is struggling with Chris Cormier, here is available. You know what I mean?
We'll take any new sponsors. Super Eugenics. What is that thing that Frank Thomas has?
Oh,
That test booster?
oh yeah, erectile.
No.
Chris,
never mind.
Chris, we do not
Sorry.
not share your issues.
Sorry.
Here, okay? Do not share the issues you have in your life.
Well, this took a turn, didn't it? Welcome to the show, folks.
Took a turn for the worse.
So we're going to go through from the things that are falling off to things that are coming up, like Mike Sommerfeld, who Mike made a huge impact on this year's Olympia in the classic physique. I thought it was pretty darn tight. He came from, what, 6th or 7th the year before?
He was in 7th, if I'm not mistaken.
He was
the story.
the sixth.
Martin was the story in the bodybuilding, and Mike Sommerfeld was the story in the classic physique.
Now, I think he took a year off in between. He was 7th in 22, was out in 23, and then
Yeah, he was out the
huge splash this year. He jumped 5 spots, and there were people that, Chris always is just dominant, but it was not so dominant this year. So you have to wonder now, with Chris out, and whether or not one of you said, with Chris deciding whether or not he wants to come back to the Open, but not to the Classic. With Chris out, that leaves Wesley, who disappointed when it came time for the big show.
I just want to mention, I've just verified here, Mike Sommerfeld placed 8th in 2023.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
slip.
8th.
That's a great...
But he didn't look that good then, and he can attest to that himself. But I mean, he went slug for slug with Chris this year, But I mean, some people think he's like borderline, looking like more like a bodybuilder. How do you feel about that, Terry? You're a judge.
I disagree. I think Mike Sommerfeld could be the new superstar of the classic physique. Some judges, actually, it wasn't unanimous. Chris did not win unanimously for the first time in his Olympia tenure. Some people believe
he took some spots away from him.
in the judging panel that he won the show. He looked incredible. He posed as well. He was vastly improved. So 2022, he placed 5th. Then he fell to 8th. And now he comes back to 2nd. He posed well. I got to give him credit, too. He wasn't intimidated by Chris Bumstead. A lot of these guys that they place 2nd to Chris, obviously Breon has never been intimidated by Chris Bumstead. But I felt like Ramon, in the beginning of their careers, they were just fans of Chris Bumstead. You know what I mean?
But they were pushing those guys to go up against Chris when they haven't been in those deep waters before. They got up there with Chris, and they was all trying to be, buddy, but they're all bowing down to him at the same time.
And I think that gives a huge advantage. You go play against Michael Jordan, and right from the beginning, you're already sucking up to him. You're just telling Michael Jordan, come and show me how great you are. Right. There's this famous story about Tom Brady that he got sacked by Ndamukong Suh. Remember Ndamukong Suh? And he stood up and he was all shaken, and he goes, "Hey, calm down, buddy. Calm down, friend." And Ndamukong Suh, who was a rookie in that year, looked at him and said, "I'm not your friend." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He wasn't sucking up to the great Tom Brady. And I give Mike Sommerfeld credit. It didn't look like he was there to celebrate or take a selfie with. His front double biceps showed a small waist. His quads were incredible. From the back, he looked amazing. A lot of people liked Mike Sommerfeld, and I think he could be the next superstar.
Let's give it a
But
look
you know,
here, fellas.
leading into the show, he was on the podcast with the Menace podcast, and he was guaranteeing he was going to be in the top 3 already. So he felt good going into the show. I mean, look at his shape right here next
Look at
to
his
Chris.
arms.
Look at the shape. The shape is there. The sartorius muscles strong. Nice vacuum, a real deep vacuum he pulled. The arms and everything is tight. And then he is looking like he could take away some of the first place votes with the champion.
He looked incredible. I mean, and I thought he posed well. You know, the friendable biceps that we're telling people that Chris Bumstead beat Martin Fitzwater in Prague on the friendable biceps, right here on this friendable biceps, you could have given to Sommerfeld. That's how good this guy is. This guy's a superstar.
All right, we're going to keep rolling here, Chris.
And then you see how the legs are more muscular than Chris's up top there. More muscular than the champion. And you see the trunks are getting a little high. I don't want to be the whistleblower, but these trunks are getting a little thin. It's almost like bodybuilding. What do you think?
Okay, that's beautiful right there. So this is some great posing. Of course, Chris has this pose with the width across the clavicles, the shoulders, the delts.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
Mike, as far as now, the whole point here is pull Chris out of this, and who's competition for Mike looking like that?
Well, I think this is a great pose for Chris. Now, look how, it's all relative. This is a pose that I gave to Martin Fitzwater in Prague, but in the classic physique, Chris Bumstead is unbeatable on the side chest because now we see guys that don't have the girth that bodybuilders have. And then the conditioning, the great presentation comes into play. He's got the hamstrings. Now, you got to give credit to Sommerfeld because on the lower half, he's going head-to-head against Bumstead. What he's really losing is the upper body.
Well, look at the overall package. Look at the large clavicle bones, right? So you see the added muscularity. The per inch of his body is way more muscular than Sommerfield's to me. I mean, if you look at the overall package, you got to go with the champ. What do you think?
I agree with you. This is Chris's best shot, and now this guy's not in the game. Now this guy is there against Urs. We'll see what he can do. Carter, roll the tape, Carter Montgomery.
Let's look here.
All
okay,
right.
now let's
Turn around.
Let's keep thinking here, fellas. The Bumstead's no longer here, and now we're putting Urs and Wesley and Ramon on either side of Sommerfeld.
Well, you see the thickness right here in Sommerfeld. Very good thickness, very good muscularity. Hamstrings are popping, glutes are tight. I do like the thickness of his back double bicep here. Chris has his look, but in this shot right here, I'm going to give it to Sommerfeld.
This is a shot. You can see Sommerfeld has girth and thickness, not as much as Josema, right? Josema is at a different level, even though he has a little bit of a wider
But
waist.
look at the thickness even down in the lats, all the way to the lat insertion.
Absolutely, and
Nice
you
and
can also see he's got the legs to go against Chris Bumstead. So Mike Sommerfeld won some shots here, and he's very impressive. I mean, on a different tangent, these guys, they started with the black shorts right here, right?
Yeah.
And now they're like worse than a Brazilian girl in Ipanema.
Look at that V.
Is that
Guys,
There's a V here.
Get the
And
stuff.
you got the.
I mean,
How high do you want to pull it?
I mean,
though? I
come
don't know.
on, guys.
How high?
I mean, the wellness girls, the bikini girls don't go this deep. Get your trunks out of your crack. We can just put it right here. We can see your glutes.
Okay,
Just
before we roll this
just
forward,
a little floss.
I'm going to go in a direction we haven't gone just yet.
They're flossing.
I want to go with not just the density, but the perfect ratio of forearm to delt to trap and rhomboid area on Mike. I haven't seen that since Anastasia or Korobleva.
But look at the waist size here.
But the tiny waist.
the waist difference.
But one thing I noticed about Korobleva was the stunning size of the delts into the arms, the biceps and triceps. He's got a beautiful ratio. The balance is just
That's
like
right, because the
nothing.
imbalance, what my co-hosts like to point out, he don't have the imbalances. everything is matching, just like you're saying. Everything is matching, and you see the drop off in the arms with the champion, but his is nice and thick throughout the whole pose for him.
And keep rolling, Carter. And now remember, guys, Chris Bumstead has dominated this category. Here comes a guy that wins a few poses and a guy that, in addition to that, got some first place votes. He is, bar none, the favorite to win the classic physique pose. Look at the confidence.
Look at, okay, again, the delts and the chest. Look at those deep abs.
And he knows that he has better ab and thigh than Chris, so he is really trying to wobble the leg. And that's a lot of mass that you show in the quad when you're punching down like that. And a lot of abdominal exercises he did, that's why he got the confidence in himself in his pose. You can see it in his face.
Deep abs, nice deep obliques. You know, this looks great. Sommerfeld put on a show, and I think he's ahead of Urs. He's ahead of Ramon right now.
I think he's the best ab and thigh in the classic division. What do you think?
I have to agree with you, Chris.
Yeah. I think this is a great segue. We're talking about Mike and his future in the sport, being the future of classic, and we're going to talk about Urs, what he brought to the Olympia, and how he'll respond when we come back. All right, we're back. We were just talking about Mike Sommerfeld and the amazement that he brought to this year's Olympia. Someone I felt, I'm a huge fan, someone I felt that fell off the Miracle Bear.
Miracle Bear?
Urs Kalaczynski.
Kalaczynski.
Tarek, first off, there was a color issue. Color is not training. But I thought he sacrificed size for conditioning, which I was really surprised at how high he placed. In classic physique, you cannot sacrifice size for conditioning.
Well, Tim, you bring up a good point. Urs Kalaczynski, when one of his first Olympias, he placed 4th, and Ramon placed 5th. We asked Chris Bumstead, who do you think can be the next star after you? And Chris was, I think this guy, Urs Kalaczynski, can be the next one. He did not pick anybody but Urs Kalaczynski. We found out who he was in Tijuana when he placed 2nd to Mike Sommerfeld. I think Urs Kalaczynski still finding out his best format. He's still developing, but I think he's a freak because still in the developing process of finding tune the conditioning with the size, he's still placing 3rd and 4th. There was one show in Boston which he won, which I thought he was his best ever. And I think if he had brought that to the Olympia this year, he would have been right there with Mike Sommerfeld and Chris Bumstead. Do I think he lost a little bit of his fullness? Yes. But I also think he still needs to squeeze that conditioning, right? Especially from the back at finals. I didn't see that conditioning to get him with those guys.
I think that's going to come with peaking right when the time is like, okay, bodybuilding is right now at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, boom, I'm going to hit my peak. Because the discipline is there. I was around him enough, in Kuwait to see his discipline. His discipline is dead on where it needs to be. And it's like, it's not many bodybuilders can hold that type of focus year round like he does. So the discipline is there. That's not an issue. The training can improve even more so because, I saw him training while we were there. I even did a little back session with him one day, myself and Breon and Nexzilla. We all did a training session with him, and, he got to another level that day. I know he did. But there's still more levels to it. When you're a brown belt, you're trying to get to the black belt. He's just not a black belt yet when it comes to back training.
Well, let's look at the top 4 here and see kind of what we got. This is what it came down to. Mike was up there. Ramon, not happy with where he was at the time.
Well, look how he's standing. What's going on here, buddy? What's the wide feet stance?
Yeah.
Look, he looks. Look at the legs. He's got beautiful legs, tiny waist. I think he lost a little bit of fullness, and I agree with Timothy Wilkins. A little bit of fullness on the chest and arms, right?
Do you see an imbalance there, though?
Yes.
There's too much delt going on. I mean, if you have so much delt going on, and he don't have the widest clavicle bone structure, not the widest for his height. So, would that come into play with you if you're judging this category?
Well, obviously, we're looking at the lines, right? And if you have large clavicle bones and you have a small waist and flaring quads, you won the lottery in terms of genetics or bodybuilding. We're talking about Bumstead. We're talking about Sommerfeld. We're talking about Samson Dauda. Now, Phil Heath didn't have large clavicle bones, and he won 7 Olympias. Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't have flaring quads. He won 7 Olympias. So you don't have to be perfection in order to win. I think in order to compensate the delts, he needed to have a bigger chest. If he has a bigger
That's what I mean.
chest,
You gotta balance out that physique, so you don't have, that look. Like you said, if you brought the upper chest out more, what is that gonna look like? You brought out those lats a little bit wider, leaving towards the bottom of the latissimus dorsi, going into your rib cage there, like Sommerfield's going on here with his. Then I think that's going to be comparable to you moving up in placing.
So Urs broke out the supervillain hair this year, which needed more color. You look at the color difference. So this goes back to your coach tells you so much.
yeah, he's light. The color is light.
It's light.
Look like he spent summer in Frankfurt.
Well, to that end, you're a competitor. You've gotten to the Olympia. This is what, 4th Olympia? 3rd Olympia?
4th, I think.
4th Olympia. You know when your color's off, you need to go back and get another layer. The tanning, pro tan is everywhere. They'll take care of you. When you know your conditioning's off, you're holding a little extra water. You know these things. You don't rely on the coach and take these actions. I thought his balance was off top to bottom too, not just in the overpowering delts. I thought his balance was off, and I thought he was a little soft. I just think it was just...
But he's so focused, man, if it's the difference between eating a potato and eating oats, he's going to pick the best one that's going to be suited for his diet and his program. I know that in him. So, I don't know, man.
So what happened, Chris? Let's roll it. And
little flattish, maybe?
Look, great shot, but stop right there, Carter Montgomery. The clavicle bones, right? This is a huge difference right here. What I think Urs can do, and Chris, since you're the master poser, it looks like he's not benefiting himself for bringing too close here. Maybe he can open even a little bit the biceps, make this a little bit more of a... Look how the elbows, the arms are going on a 45 degree, and these guys are more of a 90 degrees, right? 85 degrees. He's the one that's bringing the arms really down, and that's not contributing to his clavicles. What he needs to do is just bring it out a little bit, just a little bit out to give that illusion that he's wider.
Yes, I agree. If the shoulders were a little bit, lower, not so picked up and hiked up, that's shortening even more so the clavicles right there. I get it. And all these other guys are doing so, even though Ramon placed behind him. Still, he did a better job with that.
I'm really, and I'm saying as a huge Urs fan, I'm really surprised he placed where he did. When you had Matt Grego, when you had Josema, you had those guys with really quality conditioning. That top 6 we looked at in the previous episode, the 6 through 10, the guys 5 through 10, were all so hard.
He faded in the finals, but at prejudging, he came on fire. Carter, roll the tape. He's got the glutes. He's got the hammies, but you're right, Tim. He's so light, and then with that hair right there, he looks like he came out of a milk carton.
But even this pose right here, you need to stretch that pec back. That shoulder needs to be back, because even though from the front it looked like the delts were standing up nice and high and prominent. They seem to disappear in this side chest shot.
But look, he's got the glute, he's got the hamstrings. If he was darker on the tanning, we could have seen a lot more. I mean, this is the finals, right? This is the finals.
This is finals.
I can't believe whoever is his coach didn't tell him. And I know his fiance, Alicia, she's on top of things. She would tell him, you need to get dark. Look at the difference of color, man.
But Boss of Allah, he knows what they need to be looking like. So I don't know if it's on the coach. I don't know if it's on the competitor, but he definitely missed the boat with the color.
But back to this, you talk about this all the time with squaring those clavicles across and pulling that far pec across.
Look how it shortens right there.
It's shortened, and he's not getting the striations from the far pec because he's not pulling that elbow.
He's flatter. Need to be?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's keep it rolling to see if he ever hits there, but I don't think he gets there. That's it right there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well.
And then watch in the back. I know, well, the glutes are diced, but.
Yeah, he was hard as nails right there. But I think a little bit more carbon up would have did him better.
Still, and the color right there would have brought out a lot of those cuts.
Yeah. See right here, the width is not there as the other guys got more width on him. So.
But, again, look, as a judge, you can tell people need to be darker, but you can also see the conditioning. He probably has the best glute striations out of everybody. It's just that he's super light, and that's preventing us from seeing more separation. The back is definitely something that he needs to make it wider, right? He needs to make the back wider.
Well, before you poke down there, that's going to be our perfect segue, because I do want to talk about this guy, and I'm about to eat some picanha. I'm about to eat some Brazilian steak. We're going to talk about Ramon Dino when we come back. All right, guys, we occasionally apologize, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I apparently don't remember how good Ramon Dino looked during this Olympia because I was so dazzled by Sommerfeld, thrown off by Urs, the retirement of Bumstead. Every time I look over here as we do this segment, he looked amazing.
Well,
he wasn't his
Timothy,
best.
Whoa.
Slow it down.
Slow it down. He looked very good in the finals because at prejudging, he was sweating like my son after my son put Parmesan cheese in my plate. Okay, and I asked him, who did this? Who did this? I mean, he was sweating balls at prejudging. Balls.
Rolling balls.
I mean, he was like this. Breon looked at him like he was taking a shower with him. Like, wash that shit down, The entire country of Brazil was like, what the hell is going on with Ramon?
Yeah,
that is a wet dinosaur coming out of the lake.
Breon can't do his aid, even though, the prejudging, I thought they had Breon ahead of him, but, they switch it up at the end. But look at the stance from the front. This is way too wide of a stance if you're trying to show your physique off to the best. Sprinkle some of that. What's that stuff called?
Farofa
on your posing.
He needs to put some farofa there to dry him. So at prejudging, he came in, and right from beginning of prejudging, we could see he wasn't as conditioned as the year that he placed second, okay? But then he started posing in the comparisons, and he was drenched in sweat. And that prevented us from seeing any separation. You could tell his eyes and everything. So at that point, he was after Breon. A lot of people had him, Ramon is not at his best. He's lucky he's placing fourth. Comes the finals, and I agree with you, Timothy Wilkins. he impressed the hell out of me. I mean, they took the entire water out of him. They probably put him in a dryer for 6 hours, had him rolling there, and he came out dry. And this is Ramon right there. But the prejudging scoring is already done.
And sometimes when you do sweat so much, you do get drier. Because I used to sweat, not like he was doing it, but I used to sweat enough to where I'd get better and better as my comparisons go. I mean, but, you know, like this wide stance got to change here for once. Posing is still it's been something he's been working on for years, getting better at it, but still needs some work in progress.
Let's roll it through here, fellas. So this is the night show. Like you said, he did improve morning to night. Okay, legs can still come up. He's
Bend
still got
those
such a
legs.
tiny waist. Sit on him a little bit, but still they've got
But
to
he's
come up.
still applying pressure on his pinky toe here, as I've seen in that pose.
Yeah.
You got to get it on the inside of the ball of your foot.
Let's pause that. He could be a little more side to side, don't you think, Chris? This is a little too front on for me.
But side chest has improved a lot. He was at least he's picking it up enough to where you're getting a little bit more out of his physique here. And I like the nice crisp legs on the side here.
But let's hold that. You look at the density on the quads and the hams, the hang. You look at the density in the quads and the ham hang there. He still has to put on some meat there in that quad, and he's got to sit on it being that tall.
And man, he was so far. I mean, he was so convinced that he was right on target. He took off all his clothes at the weigh-ins and hit a pose for the cameras. Hit a couple poses there. He was feeling good about the way he looked, you know, the day before the competition.
I think he made tremendous improvement, but man, you are compared against some of the guys. Did Mike Sommerfeld sweat at prejudging?
No.
No. Did Chris Bumstead had that tanny issue? No. Did he have a tanny issue? Yes. It needs to be darker. So, Urs Kalaczynski and Ramon, if these two guys are not here, yes, you can win the show with one of these issues. But you are compared against the people that have not made any mistakes. And in this case, Ramon at prejudging, he failed. He should have been at prejudging like I was at finals. And unfortunately, at finals, he's just trying to recover some of the points that he lost. At prejudging, people had him placed in 5th, 6th. Here, he might have beaten Urs in 3rd, but that's not enough to put him in 3rd because he has a low scoring at prejudging.
All right, let's roll a little bit. His delts can come up a little for my taste, too, because they're starting to get overpowered by his arms.
Well, look, he's pushing out. The thing is, though, he's pushing that arm out toward the crowd, but you need to clamp that down toward your body.
If you stick that trial pop out, too. All right.
Yep.
Hold that if we could, please.
Right here. Improved shot for him.
Yeah.
Tim. And you can see down in the lat insertion at the bottom right here. Very prominent. A lot better pose for him that he's been doing in previous years. Still can, get some improvement in the middle. But I like the backdoor bicep that he shot.
And the thing about Ramon is this. He's got massive arms, right? Out of all these guys, you look at his guns and you go, man, he's got the best guns, the best forearms. And you're right, Tim. What does that do? That makes your back look a little bit smaller. It creates a little bit of an imbalance because you look at these huge guns and you go, oh, he's got a small back. It's not he has a small back. The guns are overpowering the pose.
So one of those things, and it's hard for you talk about these guys that just want to put on size. You lay off arms for a few months. You're going to get buys with your back workout. You're going to get tries with your chest workout. When you're overpowering your delts, you're overpowering your back. You got to chill out a little bit.
Just use it a priority. You're thinking the whole year in the off season. You're just prioritizing the muscle groups you need to grow, laying off the ones that are very solidified. All you got to do is keep those, keep them in check. Don't lose size in it, but you got to prioritize the different areas of your back and get those muscle groups. Maybe put 2 different exercises in that particular area.
Instead of 4?
Yeah, until you need to improve. And then work your way around, but really try to dissect your physique and where you need to improve it, that's where you need to train.
So let's come back real quick, guys, and I want to hit Chris with this. So
Hit me with your best shot.
Urza's out there. Ramon, who's been back and forth in that final 2 call out with Chris for the past couple of years. And like you said, out there, year 1, it was like he was in the Shark Tank but wanted to pet the shark. Hey, that's a shark. I can't believe I'm next to a shark. But how fired up do you have to be? And I'm sure I've actually been there a couple times in my bodybuilding career, but you've been there a ton. When you finally get up there next to the king and you're winning points, and you're chipping at him. You're out there in your mic, and you're posing out of your skin because you said, not only am I standing here now, but I can hear his armor breaking down. I can feel myself making up ground. How fired up did he have to be?
Oh, crazy. And that's giving you a lot of energy, give you that confidence on your face. When you're hitting that shot, you got Ronnie Coleman here, you got Flex Wheeler here, and you're in that first call out, and there's only 3 of you up there. That's when you get the fire. That's when you can feel like all these months leading up to this day, and here I am with the best shot right now. It's Olympia, the best in the world.
Oh,
Can you do the fired up one more time, Tim?
what out there with?
Like you're biting your lips too?
Oh, you're just posing out of your
feeling it.
skin.
He was feeling it. It was in his heart.
You hurt for 3 days after that pose down.
He was feeling it.
Yeah.
So I'm backstage with a muffin
I
and
can
a piece
see
of
his
pizza
nipples getting hard from the suit.
through the
dude.
velvet. So you're backstage. Literally, I didn't know there was a pose down for the light heavyweight and the heavyweight. And I got a piece of pizza and a muffin, and I'm working them both at the same time. And they go, dude, there's a pose down for a sword. I go, a sword? And I just chuck them. And I go out there, and I go, I've never been in a pose down before. This is awesome. I hurt for 2 days after that I posed so hard. I couldn't imagine what that
makes you
feel.
sore for sure.
Makes you sore.
Sore.
Locking in.
It's a whole body workout in one pose. The whole body workout, one pose, and isolation, and it's amazing.
Isolation.
I was trying to hit my toothpicks really hard.
You have the potential, Tim.
They were hard.
So, guys, it is going to be really interesting this year. I am so excited about Classic, the future of Classic, because there's a lot of guys that were in that 5 to 10 that are going to make some moves like Sommerfeld did last year from 8 to 2nd. There's a couple guys, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I was shocked after how well Wesley Vissers did earlier in the year. So I think he's got potential to come back and do some damage in the top 5. So it's going to be really interesting without Bumstead in that top spot
Man,
to
it's
see
going to be
who
a
takes
crazy
it.
scrapping. And like I say, and Breon's going to probably be in a 212. Someone's going to move into that slot. It's going to be quite a battle.
You gotta make 0 mistakes. Your tanning, 0 mistakes. Your color, 0 mistakes.
It's not like you don't
sweating, you cannot be sweating, 0. You have to be 0, like Pro Zero from Global Formulas. 0 fat,
Slid that in there.
0 sugar, only protein. I guarantee you, this product does not sweat and the color is perfect. Back to you, Timothy.
You know when we were talking about calling people king and queen?
Yep.
That's the king of segues right there.
He's the king.
When he sees that
He's the
opening,
king.
oh,
He's the king.
king,
You're the king.
that was nice.
No, he came to me first. Ah!
All right, Global Formulas, thank you for your sponsorship.
Can only be one first.
Comment, like, subscribe. Tell us what you think about the future of this class without Bumstead there holding space at number 1. Ramon, is it Matt Grego? Is it Mateus?
Who do you got?
Is it Josema? Is it Ramon? Who knows? You tell us your thoughts on that. And guys, thank you as always for joining us. Chris.
All right, my man. Good to be here.
Chris Cormier, the real deal. Tara Kilgindi.
I'm happy.
You're still basking, aren't you? Tim Wilkins, as always, folks.
Still working on it.
Hope your cardio was good. We'll see you on the next Primetime Muscle.